Come along as I refinish these mid-century nightstands. They're in pretty good condition. I don't like this dated blonde finish, so that's got to go. I've got a few little areas that are dented and then have veneer missing, but I got them for $25. I'm Shireen with Olive Street Designs, and I'm showing the process of furniture refinishing so you can learn too. Be sure to subscribe and follow for more. So let's dive in. First thing I like to do is get these cleaned up. And why do I clean before I'm about ready to sand and make them kind of dirty again? Because they usually have years worth of grime and dirt and things on them, and you can see that. Look at it, it's just like oozing brown stuff. Ugh. So I sprayed Crud Cutter on, and then I'm using my scrubber to really get in there. This has kind of a heavy grain, so I just wanted to scrub it really well. And then I'm wiping it down with a damp cloth, and I wiped it off several times just to make sure it was super clean. I wish I had shown the water I was wringing out. It was so dirty. So just get everything all cleaned up and let it dry, and then go in with sanding. So I'm just going to be sanding everything with 120 grit, pretty much just scuffing everything. Not a lot of repairs to do. So I just want to get everything scuffed so it provides a good base and good adhesion for my paint. I'm just going over every surface. Again, this is 120 grit, and just making sure everything is evenly sanded. I go over every area, all surfaces. This is another good time where you just really inspect everything and see what damage do I need to repair. And now I flip these upside down, and I'm going to get ready to start adding some support for some legs. These are small, so they needed a little something. So I'm reusing some legs that I had cut the wrong size for another project, so now I can reuse them here. I've got to take out those little metal feet because that's right where my foot's going to sit, the new foot. And then I've got these little supports cut to the right length. I'm going to glue them on. This is Gorilla wood glue. And then put in some long screws to secure these to the side. So they're screwed and glued. They're not going anywhere. All right. Those are leg supports. After the glue is all set up, I'm going to add these T-nuts. And I put them onto market, but they actually are going to be mounted down into that wood. So I was just marking where I want them to go based on where I think the leg placement is going to be. And then I have a really big drill bit. It's going to make that nice wide opening for the T-nut to go into. And again, I just have to drill a hole down into each one. And just making sure it's down in there deep enough. Just make my way around. Once I mark them, sometimes you can drill pilot holes, but really not necessary with this bit. It really does just make quick work of it. Okay, now I'm getting the T-nuts placed in there and positioned in each one where I want them to go. Because I spin them around just to, there's three screws that will hold these on. And so now I have to go in and put all the screws in. So there'll be 24 little screws that I've got to put in there. And this will be secured and ready to go for the legs. There are several different kinds of T-nuts available. Some are small, they just screw in. There's just several kinds. I like these. I want to have a wide base and feel like I've got some security for these legs, especially on dressers. Okay, once I get all the screws on, time to test it out, make sure I like the placement. It's a little late now, but I like to put one in there and just make sure that's where I want it. So we're all good to go. Everything's good for legs. I took the leg off because I don't need it on there right now and I don't want to get paint on it, but I had a little area of veneer there that I put some Bondo on. So I'm just sanding it smooth, making sure I've got nice clean edges. And these are the bottoms of the inside cabinet area. I sanded those. I've got some peeling veneer. So I've got some wood glue in a syringe with a little bent needle. These are craft needles. They're perfect for injecting glue into areas like this. I want to make sure there's tons of glue in there so when you press on it, it squishes out a bit, and then some tape to secure it. I've got to put these bottoms back down into the area here and securing with some brad nails. They weren't very secure when I had them flipped upside down. One of them just fell out, so. I had a brad nail that didn't seat all the way down, so I've got this little nail pusher. Just hammer that in and make the brad nail go down into the wood a little further. and cover up those little brad nail holes with some wood filler. Into the spray tint we go. I'm priming a bunch of pieces at one time and I ran out of dollies for everything, so one's on a dolly and one's on crates. We'll make it work. Time for some primer. This is gray tinted primer. I use Stix Primer. I love this primer. It's just a good coverage and good adhesion. It's chilly outside, but I've got a fan going because I am priming a lot of things today. And it's cold outside, so I don't get a lot of time to get everything done. We'll see if I can get these completed today. Sanding in between coats, especially after your primer coat, will give you a nice, buttery, smooth finish. Time for some paint. I'm going in with Converted Navy from Farmhouse Evolution, which is my favorite paint. This is such a cool color, especially for mid-century pieces. I really love it. It's like a bluish, grayish green. All right, get that first coat of paint on. This is the second coat of paint. I sanded in between each coat. And looking beautiful. I ran out of time to get top coat on. It was just getting too cold, so I brought everything in and it bubbled. It created this weird rough surface, so I had to sand everything back down and repair a couple little areas. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was just the temperatures. I'm not sure. So the following day, I did another coat of paint. Now it's looking beautiful. I'm going to let that dry. While that's drying, I'm going to tint my top coat, and I do that by dumping the rest of the paint back into the container but leaving my spray container covered with paint, and then I put the top coat in there. I stir everything up and I now have tinted top coat. I'm going to dial back the flow on my sprayer because it sprays differently than paint. It's really thin, so you don't need to spray a lot or you'll get drips. So now going in with my top coat layer. Looking good, gonna let that dry. And after everything dried, it's time to line the drawers. These are curved drawers, so it'll be a little bit more of a challenge. A couple extra steps. The first thing I do is just measure the widest part, and that's what I'm gonna cut. I don't like to waste material, so I do cut it to the exact width and length. Dry fit it in and just making sure I've got my width and everything right, and then just look at the pattern and make sure I've got the pattern facing how I want. I'm going to put my drawer right on top of it, center it, and then draw the curve on the paper. I then cut that out, dry fit it again just to make sure everything fits. Put the liner in the drawer. I've got a plastic putty knife that I just smooth everything out with. And there it is. Perfectly against the curve, looking good. I love this cute paper. All right, time to install the legs. I flip these over. Of course, I've just painted and top coated. Everything's dry, but I put it on a very soft blanket. Thank you, Michael, for letting me borrow your Thomas blanket. And it's time to install the knobs. Take a quick look back at where we started with that blonde finish, and here we are. Nicely updated, and I think this color really suits the modern design along with the unfinished feet. These are some of my favorite little nightstands. Wouldn't they be cute in a guest room? I hope you like it. And if you want to see more of this content, be sure to follow for more.